Joe Biden's been the most pro-labor president in memory, and he was the first sitting president to join a picket line when he marched in solidarity with the United Auto Workers during their strike last fall, which is one reason why the UAW endorsed Biden for president back in January of this year. The union has not yet endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris for the same job. So what inroads does she need to make with organized labor ahead of November's election? Joining me now is someone well-suited to answer that question. Shawn Fain is the president of the United Auto Workers Union. Shawn, it's good to see you. We can do this the easy way or the long way. If you want to do it the easy way, you can tell me if you're going to endorse Kamala Harris, then we can talk about Olympics for 5 minutes.
That sounds like a plan. Hey, thanks, Allie. Thanks for having us. Hey, look, as I said earlier, we have a process we follow when we do this. And, our membership drives this union now. It's not a top-down organization. So, we've been having discussions with our executive committee. I was able to talk to Vice President Harris on Wednesday. We tried hooking up, the last few days throughout the week and just couldn't make it work. And so we were able to talk, had a really good conversation, as we always have. And I told her, expectations we have, things we'd like to see. But our board, we are reaching out to leaders all over the nation and our regions and stuff and getting feedback from them, what they want to see, as we always do. And then, we'll make when we make an endorsement, we'll make that announcement on our time, nobody else's. So that's how we do things in the UAW.
Let's talk about it. It's interesting because a lot of people don't know about the evolution of unions like yours, where you say it's not top down, it's consultative, and you talk about expectations and what you'd like to see. Can you tell me what some of those things are? Some of the things you'd like a presidential candidate to commit to in exchange for your support?
Look, this election's about one thing. It's about taking our lives back. It's about a working class that's been left behind for decades due to corporate greed and runaway greed at the top. And so, we have what we call our 4 core issues. And those are, a living wage. And that doesn't mean, a bare minimum. That means a living wage where when someone goes to work, no matter what work they do, they can live a decent life. Adequate health care for everybody. There's no excuse in the richest nation in the world that we don't have health care for everyone. It should be a right. Retirement security. Retirement security is a must. 60% of the people in this nation have no retirement savings, not because they're not responsible, but because they don't make enough money to save anything. And then the final thing is taking our time back, taking our lives back. I mean, many workers in the working class work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, or 2 and 3 jobs just to scrape to get by. And that's not a life. So, working class people are fed up with basically working their asses off and generating all these massive profits for these companies and then being left behind. That doesn't work for us. So those, to me, are the core 4 things that got to happen in this country. That's why 75% of Americans supported us in that fight.
That was quite a strike that you guys had and met with great success in that. Senator Mark Kelly, one of the people who is being thought about as a vice presidential candidate, he's on the short list to join the Harris ticket, just endorsed the PRO Act, something he hadn't done. It's a massive piece of labor rights legislation. Do you take that as a sign that union rights are going to be a red line for the Kamala Harris campaign?
Look, they should be. Anyone that didn't support the PRO Act does not support working class people, in my opinion. And, that's got to happen. That's a must for us. But look, there's a lot bigger issues in this also. I mean, this is about taking on a billionaire class and a corporate class. And you look, inflation's a big topic, in this election. And I want to make one thing clear. The inflation wasn't driven by policy. The inflation we've suffered, the working class has suffered these last several years, was driven by corporate greed and consumer price gouging. They took advantage. The billionaire class and corporate class did what they do best when there's an emergency or a tragedy in this nation. They go to work to see how they can extract more wealth for themselves and leave workers further and further behind. And that's what happened. And so we need stronger regulations on business. We need stronger union rights for workers. 60 million Americans say they would join a union tomorrow if they had the opportunity. And when we did polling where we're organizing, Alabama, Tennessee, it was 2-1 in favor of the UAW. But why doesn't that translate into automatic wins? Because the companies break the laws, they willingly break the law, because there are very little consequences in the act of doing that. And so those are issues. You look at trade and border security. This border crisis, I call it a manufactured border crisis by the billionaire class. This is what they do best. Working class people have been left behind for decades, and they use race, they use they'll attack who somebody loves. Or now they're using the border crisis, which to me is what I call a humanitarian crisis. These people aren't what Donald Trump calls rapists and murderers and invaders. They're not invading our nation. These are destitute and desperate people trying to find a better life because just like the rest of the working class, they've been left behind. So that's what this is all about, and that's what we got to change. And I truly find it pathetic, when I hear Trump the scab talk about how he's going to bring back the auto industry and bring it back fast. When he was president, he didn't do a damn thing to help the auto industry. Plants were closing and left this country, and he did nothing to help it.
So I fully understand that you have to have a process, but it does sound like there's not a lot of space between you and your goals, those four corners, and what Kamala Harris wants to do. So I'm guessing you're not going to be able to do it tonight, but is it fair to guess that there's probably an endorsement of Kamala Harris coming, or you don't want to get ahead of that?
I don't want to get ahead of our membership. This is about our membership. That's who we represent, and that's who we speak for. And like I said, we'll do it on our time, and we'll let everyone know when that is. So
I want to ask you about one thing. The UAW signed on to a letter with 6 other unions last week calling on President Biden to end military aid to Israel in order to achieve a ceasefire. The letter says, quote, Mr. President, the time to act decisively to end the war is now. Stopping U.S. military aid to Israel is the quickest and most sure way to do so. It is what U.S. law demands, and it will show your commitment to securing a lasting peace in the region, end quote. Have you heard anything from the White House on this issue? And are you going to present that issue to Vice President Harris as well?
We've spoken. We've actually been in communication with the White House throughout the year about our position on this. We called for a ceasefire back in December, early December. And, look, the UAW has always had a history of standing up for humanity and standing for peace. And, we're calling for that, and we'll continue to do that.
Sean, it's good to see you as always. Thank you. I'm on TV a lot in the next couple of weeks, so when you come to a decision, let me know, and I'll make sure to get you on, and we can have that discussion about who the UAW and its membership will be supporting. But good to see you as always. Thank you.
Sounds good. We look forward to it. Thank you.